Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark, and today is actually one of my past clients who has started a new business, kind of shifted where she's going, but she's always been an amazing marketer. So I'm pretty excited to have her. I think you guys will learn a lot from her. Before we get started, don't forget two things. First of all, if you don't have your free subscription to Breakthrough Author Magazine, go over and grab it, breakthroughauthormagazine.com. We have a whole new lineup of people in 2025. Well, not everybody, but we've added some new people. We've added some new emphasis like LinkedIn. We brought in a gentleman who is a LinkedIn expert. Trying to think what else here. We've brought in a tech person, Rebecca Bertoldi, who works with Goal High Level and tech, and she's amazing. When I did my transfer over from Builderall to Go High Level, it was seamless. It was just amazing, and how much easier it is to use than some of the other platforms out there. So Breakthrough Author Magazine, www.breakthroughauthormagazine.com. And don't forget, until 12/31/2024 at midnight, we have a holiday special. If you go to authorbuzzbuilders.com, we have all of our DIY downloadable author learning courses over there. $3,000 value. We're doing it through the holidays for $997. So if you know somebody who's writing a book, who's thinking about writing a book, platform building is one of the most important pieces because somebody needs to buy that book. So we have our AI platform building for coaches in there, build your author avatar. We also have social media for authors, content development for authors in there, email marketing for authors. We've got 6 courses in there, and I don't know why one of them is escaping me at this particular moment, but you can go grab that at authorbuzzbuilders.com, $997. And for those of you who haven't signed up, we have a course in January. We've just started putting the information out of it, a course to turn your book into a course, if that makes sense. So that too, reach out if that's something that interests you, because, there are ways that you need to build that course so it's engaging for the person taking it. Probably the number one thing that happens is that people just drop it. They don't finish it because the modules are too long or the information is hard to digest. So today's guest is Ryann Dowdy, and she's a high-performance coach, master consultant, sales expert. She actually wrote her book in that area with a proven track record of transforming theoretical concepts into practical, tactical results. With decades of experience building multi-million-dollar sales teams, Ryann brings her expertise as role as chief activator and lead consultant for SoulCharge, where she empowers leaders to achieve results through alignment, focus, and radical ownership. Ryann's unique approach blends mindset, energy work, and strategic execution, allowing her clients to achieve rapid, purpose-driven results. Her passion lies in helping leaders not only meet their goals, but push beyond their perceived limits to redefine what's possible. Known for her relentless drive and commitment to high performance, Ryann works hand in hand with her clients to craft powerful transformations in their businesses and their lives. And she is a powerhouse. When I worked with her, I was amazed at what a powerhouse she was. With a history of pushing boundaries and a refusal to settle for anything less than excellence, Ryann leads by example, inspiring those she works with to do the same. Her expertise, coupled with her passion for unlocking the potential in others, makes her an unstoppable force in the world of consulting and conscious leadership. So stay tuned for Ryann. Ryann, welcome.
Hi, I'm excited to be here, Juliet.
I'm excited to have you. You were like the only woman I know who wrote a book and pivoted, but I love it. I love that confidence. Good for you. Good for
Wild few years. It's been a really wild few years.
It has for everybody, but I mean, I do. You wrote this amazing sales book and you are such a great salesperson. And I think people are going to be really interested in what you have to say today, because this is kind of the first piece. Like you have to clear out the garbage before you can go back in and really do this effectively. So tell me about what inspired you to start SoulCharge.
So to SoulCharge for me was actually my own transformation was the SoulCharge journey. So SoulCharge is the intellectual property of Stacey Baronfast, who is my mentor and friend. And it was what I was going through when I was writing that book was this journey of why do I keep creating external success and I don't feel successful, happy, fulfilled, any of the things I thought that I would feel. So it was my own personal journey of achievement and then kind of the hangover, right? It was like, I did it. And then, but what's next? You got to top it. It's got to be better. It's got to be bigger. It's got to be better. It's got to be more. And so it was my own personal journey that took me down that. So I was teaching sales and marketing. Obviously, wrote a book about it. But for me, for so many people, it was a matter of you have access to information. If they were in my coaching programs, you have access to coaching, you have access to support, you have access to information, and you're not getting a result. So why are some people getting really amazing results and some people not? And so combo that with my own personal development journey of there's something here, right? Where information is not enough, right? Where achievement and success as it is just like prescribed in the outside world is not really what, at least for me, what I was looking for. So that's what really led me to, it made sense when it was really time to retire the sales and marketing side of my business, to lock arms with Stacey in this space where I'm a product of the product. Like I can tell you how dramatically different my life is for the better by doing this work. And so it just became a no-brainer for that to be the natural next step when I knew sales and marketing was not something that felt aligned anymore.
It's so funny. You didn't share that before when we talked. And I resonate with that moment. I want to say 2007. Yeah. I was the number one listing agent at an agency in Los Angeles of 400 agents. And I literally went home and I was like, I'm going through a divorce. I hate my life. I'm getting really great stuff. Like I've got tons of listings, but I hate myself. I don't want to say hate myself, but I just didn't like my life at that point. So I can see that. You get that really high level. And then what is next? And can you just be okay with, I don't want anything to be next?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that's it.
Yeah. I mean, that is it, right? I just didn't know how to do that, right? Because I was told I very much followed the prescribed American dream, right? Go to college, get a job, climb the ladder, do the things, get married, have babies. Maybe you should start a business, like I checked all of the external boxes. And again, none of them really made me feel the way that I thought that they would. And that's what really let me, we had a $1.2 million year in 2021. And it was the hardest, most unfulfilling year of my life.
Right. So let me ask you this, and this might be a little, are you the major breadwinner in your family?
I was. I'm now divorced.
Oh, well, you had the same journey I did.
Yeah. I was. No, I was. Before we got married, like when I met my ex-husband, I was out earning him then. And so then entrepreneurship happened and then it exploded. And when COVID happened, he had to stay home with the kids because we lost childcare and then he just stayed home for a few years. But yeah, when all of that was happening, I was financially carrying the burden of our home by myself.
Yeah, see, that is really, really tough. And that's where I was at too. And it was hard to get him pushed up. Like, you have to do something. And he's like, well, I'm never going to have a lifestyle like I had with you. And I was like, that's your problem now.
Right. Yeah. And, for me, it was like, you can't be happy either. For me, I was so unhappy and so disconnected that I was like, there's no way you're fulfilled in this relationship either. It feels very safe and very comfortable here. You don't have to try too hard here, but there's no way you can look me in the face and tell me that you're genuinely happy with the way your life is right now. So It's been amicable. We're co-parenting well. My kids are thriving. So, I mean, I feel like we did it in a way that allowed us both to thrive. So I'm really proud of that for sure.
Yeah, we did not.
Yeah.
It was kind of hell, but that is so interesting. I bet that happens with so many women. And my daughter is about to give birth and she's the major breadwinner. And I'm so afraid we're going to repeat history here. So my next question was, how does that personal journey reflect your mission? And I think you pretty much covered that without asking.
Yep.
So, I know you have this SoulCharge experience.
Yeah.
How do you guys, what can people who go through that program expect? What kind of transformation are they really looking at here?
So it really does depend on what they want, right? Most people come to us with something in the business, right? Or something in their career, because we work with both entrepreneurs and, employees and things like that. It's successful women leaders are our people, typically director level and above or entrepreneurs. And most of them come to us thinking it's a business problem for sure, Juliet, right? Like either I have stalled, revenue is not growing, or we're kind of stagnated, or in a corporate career of I'm not where I thought I would be right now, or I am in my fancy corner office and I hate it, which is me when I exited my job. So for most people, the real transformation is we help them stop being so externally focused, right? Like what we say is we help women leaders become self-sourced, meaning become your own source of fulfillment, happiness, abundance, love, joy, all of the things we think we're going to get when we make the money, land in the corner office, whatever it is, whatever that feeling we're chasing and the thing that we're chasing. Our transformation is helping women cultivate that inside of themselves, regardless of what's happening externally, which in turn winds up creating really cool external results. But everybody comes to us with something different on their heart.
Well, I would imagine there's some fear you have to help them get through, because that whole thing I just explained.
Yeah.
I went to a therapist for 2 years by myself. I had so many. Once I got through that and realized what was going on and that I was unhappy, then it was like, I can't do this to my kids. Nobody in my family's ever been divorced before. Like there's a lot of stuff that you just get. So I would imagine you do a lot of hand holding and pushing through people through fear too.
Well, it's really understanding where's the fear coming from, right? Like it is more, okay, let's use the example of my kids. I can't do this to my kids, right? Like that is such a common thing when it comes to divorce. Felt that same way, right? Like absolutely. But it's also the realization that staying small for your kids, or staying in a marriage that isn't serving you, or staying in a career that you hate is not better for them. So there is a lot of fear, but it's also seeing like when we thrive, the world is always responding to us, Juliet. So when we thrive, when we are at our best, is when we are the best for our children, for our partners, for our businesses, for our clients. And so, there's a lot of fear, but it's really this idea of you are the one calling the shots. And again, of course, we have to process it. But for most people, that fear is in what are other people going to think? What is this going to look like? I'm going to let people down. And for most of us, it boils down to, I always say it's our not enough story. All of us have one version or another of not enough. It doesn't always look the same, sound the same, smell the same, act the same. But there is some fear of I'm not going to be enough, right? If I divorce this person and raise my children alone, I'm not going to be enough. I'm not going to be enough to support them, give them the life that I wanted, whatever it is. And so that's almost all of us is our not enough story. And we really help them clean that up, regardless of what flavor your not enough story comes in.
And that's interesting because a lot of it's our patterns, I would imagine, like, what's ingrained in us. Yep. So when you're working with people, what are some of the common obstacles that people connect with when they're going through this work? Because I know this work was hard, like really hard for me.
Yeah.
And I would imagine it's hard for everybody because you're kind of throwing away things that, for me, it was, I have this superpower.
Yep.
And it has served me forever, but now it no longer serves me. So what's my new superpower?
Yeah. And that's the fun part. You are the superpower, right? Like you are the superpower, but we put all of our superpower in external things, in our careers, in what people think of us, in the story that we've built or the identity that we've built. So like the work is really about that identity shift. And it's different variations of hard depending on how dug in you are. For me, the transformation part wasn't really that hard. It was then navigating the world from a different perspective was actually really hard for me. But like we have some clients where, it is terribly hard. And it's a lot of tears and it's a lot of like, I leave this thing behind. Who am I? But then we have other people who are like, I can't get rid of that old version of myself fast enough. Like, help me get rid of her quickly, please. So I think it just depends on where you are in your journey. Most of our clients have come to us, Juliet, having done a fair amount of work. Like they've likely been in therapy. They've maybe worked with a mindset coach. They've maybe done, a Tony Robbins event or 2 or 3. And what we find, like this is kind of our differentiator for our clients, is a lot of that is dealing with symptoms versus the root problem. Right. And I kind of joke about like playing whack-a-mole with problems, right? Like I got a money problem. I got a relationship problem. I got a this problem. I got that problem. And again, we handle the problem, we handle the symptom without ever really handling the root cause. And so our intention is always let's pull it at the root and, really extricate that whole story all together and really build from that place, otherwise to continue with the analogy, we're just mowing weeds and they always come back.
It's funny. I kind of equate what you just said with addiction. Like if you've ever dealt with somebody in addiction, they'll quit drinking and then they'll move to sex addiction or drugs addiction or, spending addictions. They're just going from addiction to feel better. But it's a different, like they're not dealing with, why am I here? Why am I self-sabotaging? What am I doing?
Mm-hmm. And that's actually, it's so funny you say that. The first kind of quarter of the foundation of SoulCharge, it's in 4 parts, but identify is one of them. And we have 8 addictions that women, we work primarily with women leaders currently, are addicted to. So we are addicted to things like chaos and problems, right? We are addicted to self-sabotage. We're addicted to validation, external validation. We're addicted to, needing approval in all those different ways. So they are addictions in the same way that somebody struggles with an external addiction, right? Whether it's alcohol, drugs, sex, whatever, gambling. It's that same dopamine hit in our head, right? Where we get value from this in some way, right? I get value from needing to be externally validated, right? I get value from solving problems. I get value from, sabotaging myself and somebody else picking me up and making me feel important, right? Like we all get value in those things in some way. And so it's learning how to detach from that and seeing what is happening in there, then deciding how you want to move forward with it. But yeah, addiction is one of the first thing. And we talk a lot about codependency because a lot of us are codependent on our businesses and our careers, right? When it's going well, we feel amazing. When it's not, we're a mess.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you guys a really vulnerable story. No judgment. I quit drinking when I was 30 years old. And I got a therapist. I didn't want to go to AA because the AA meetings I went to, I saw that thing I was talking about. Like they would talk about how low they were. And then they would go to the coffee shop next door and then they'd couple. They would do that. You could see the sex addiction. And I just want to disclaimer here. It works for a lot of people. It wasn't my path. So I go to this therapist and she sends me to Codependence Anonymous.
Oh, wow.
So I go to this Codependence Anonymous meeting and I sit there and I listen and I realize denial in my head.
Yeah.
These people are really messed up. Like, what am I doing here? And then all of a sudden I'm running the refreshments, making sure that the pregnant woman being beat by her boyfriend is in a safe place. Like I'm doing all the things. So a month later, I go into my thing and she says, how's that Codependence Anonymous going? And I'm so proud of it. And she's like, you have to quit. And I was like, what? Like, how many people? And she's like, you're supposed to be helping yourself. It was just the funniest thing how we get into those modes where, we fall back in that pattern and all of a sudden we're doing the same things that we were doing before in a different form.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we do that. We do that with our careers. We do that with our business. We do it with money. I mean, we do it with everything. But yeah, that's the first thing we do is really identify what is your addiction? Where are you getting that validation from currently? And again, how do we shift that to being self-sourced, right? How do we shift that from that being an internal thing, not an external thing?
I love that because I learned during that time period, I really learned to set boundaries for the first time in my life. And now I'm very good at it. So how do you guys take and incorporate things like mindfulness and meditation? How do you do that? And what benefit, there's obviously a benefit from what you guys do.
Yeah. So, mindfulness and meditation are part of the journey. Mindfulness for sure, right? Like being present is how I kind of have always understood mindfulness. What is mindfulness, right? It's the ability to be right here, right now, having this conversation with you without being 10 minutes in, 10 hours into the future or 10 hours into the past or dealing with the dinging over here. So to me, like that is kind of the antidote to all of it, right? The ability to be right here, right now with yourself to me it's a big part of the work. Meditation is a tool, right? Like we give our clients a toolkit. And one of the things I think we do differently, Juliet, that I really love is we don't prescribe any one modality. We help our clients figure out what's the objective, right? The objective is the ability to quiet the mind, right? To be present and to be aware and make a choice, right? It's the old Viktor Frankl quote of, between stimulus and response, there is a choice and that's where freedom lies. Right. And so some people use meditation, some people use EFT tapping, some people use breath work, some people like to go hiking and be in nature. Right. So we don't necessarily prescribe one particular modality. The intention is really, where are you finding time to take care of yourself and what does that look like for you? And helping people figure that out. Because if you would have told me that meditation was a mandatory part of the journey 5 years ago, I wouldn't have done it, right? Because I was like, F that, no. Now I'm years into it, and I can just now meditate without like a guided meditation. Like in the past 90 days can now sit quietly, sit silently, and breathe my way into a very calm mind. But it took me years of practice. And again, I was using guided meditations, I was using tools. So like I said, we don't because we work with very high achieving women like you and I, where it was like, you have to do it this way. And they're like, F off, I don't have time for that. Right. So I find the tools that best serve them and really commit to that. Like we talk a lot about when we take the same level of intensity to our own work as we do to our businesses, like to getting to know ourselves, to finding the time to meditate, journal, breath work, tapping, hiking, pick whatever feels really good to you is required part of the work. Because if you won't give it that level of intensity, we can't give you the transformation you want.
Yeah, I almost feel like hiking is my meditation too. When I get out in nature, it's just, my best ideas. Oh, look at the ducks.
Yep.
They're eating the duck. No, I'm just kidding.
And one of the things that really helped me with that, for anybody who's like meditation is not so much a practice. It doesn't have to be a practice. It's more of an inner state, right? Meditation is the ability to be present and peaceful and calm, regardless of what's going on around you. So you can be in a meditative state, state while you're driving, while you're hiking, while you're doing a lot of other things. And that gave me a lot of freedom because again, finding time to sit in the beginning was very, very hard. And now I sit all the time and I really love it.
Do you so I find if I had to go down to Phoenix and I'm up in Salt Lake, I will drive.
Yes.
Driving is so healing and meditating for me. You too? Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love to drive and but because to me, it's a whole experience, like I love a good playlist or a good book but I've trained my children into it. Like they will get in the car and they're like, Mom, can we rock out? And we sunroof open, windows down, music up. Like it's just a whole fun, feel good experience. And I love to drive. We do a lot of driving just because I have 2 small children. And frankly, some days I can get there faster in a car than on an airplane, but I love it. I will always drive if I could.
Wait till they grow up. I remember a specific road trip with a teenage son playing Diddy and my daughter playing, Do you want to be a snowman? And back and forth, it was turns. And by the time I got to the event, I was like, oh my God, I need to be committed to a mental institution.
No, it's a choice. We go around, everybody picks a song. Mommy picks
they pick the same one over and over for 3 hours.
We veto songs, or sometimes they'll need to play a song, and I'm like, we're only going to listen to this once on this ride. So, do you sure you want it now? They've learned over the years.
God, you're the mean mom. Good for you.
Yeah, I am. Sorry, I can't listen to it again.
So your programs are really community oriented. How does that fit into all of your programs?
Yeah. So community is really important, especially for us as women, because most of us feel very alone, right? Like if you were to go poll all the successful women in your life, many of them feel lonely. They feel like nobody understands them. They feel like they're spinning all these plates all by themselves. And so we really like to foster community in a way so they know it's not just them. Sometimes there is just the peace of mind of knowing I'm not alone in these struggles. I'm not alone in these experiences that create a lot of comfort. And frankly, as humans, from a caveman date, community is how we thrive, right? Being a part of the tribe is, a way of thriving. It is a form of safety for a lot of people. So if some people don't have that tribe in their real life for whatever reason, or in their day-to-day life, not their real life, but in their day-to-day life. So if we can create that tribal space where we feel safe to connect with others and be vulnerable and share our hearts, everybody benefits from that, right? I benefit, you benefit, and then the ripple effect that happens with our clients and our teams and all that other stuff when we learn that it is safe to put the bag down, right? I always say that we're all carrying this bag of rocks. And sometimes it's nice to put the bag of rocks down and talk to somebody about it, or know that somebody else is carrying that same bag of rocks. So we really do foster and create community, which is why our program currently is hybrid. We do both group and one-on-one. So everybody gets a one-on-one call as well as the group community aspect as well. So people can share the things they don't feel comfortable sharing in a group with their one-on-one coach, but they still get that community conversation camaraderie part of it in our group container.
I love that. I have two friends that I actually met at Advance. We've been power partners forever, and they're both they both have kids younger than my kids, and both of them have told me at different points, like, I love our monthly call because I don't have like friends I go out with. I have like the cheer moms, but I don't really, like, I don't really like the cheer moms. Nobody does. Sorry. But
they're just avoid that. We're just not going to tell Georgia that's an option for her. So she's only 5. I got a ways to go to avoid
martial arts. Both of my kids and I are black belts. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It was a lot of sore. Let me just tell you. At my age, I got mine when I was 46.
Good for you.
There were days that ibuprofen was my meal. Lots of, and if I drank, it would have been ibuprofen with vodka. No,
right.
So what advice would you give someone who feels really lost or disconnected, but they really just don't know where to start? Because I think that's what women ruminate a lot. They feel guilty that they feel disconnected.
Yes.
So what would you tell someone? What would you suggest?
So the first thing is start making time for yourself. Like if that is the only thing you can do. And again, that can be a car ride by yourself with the radio turned all the way up. It can be a hike. It can be a workout. It can be mommy's going to go lock herself in this room and nobody's going to talk to me. But I would say and this is so interesting because the antidote to loneliness is being alone. I think the reason that we feel so lonely is because we have abandoned ourselves, right? It's our own self-abandonment that creates the loneliness because we are so out of alignment because we have been taught as women that to be a good woman, you serve others, right? Good women put their children first and their husbands and their businesses and their clients and the PTA and the cheer thing and da-da-da-da-da-da. And maybe they get the scraps left over at the end. And so we have abandoned ourselves to the point where we feel alone. And so really, to me, the first step in the antidote to loneliness is learning how to be alone with yourself, right? Because if you constantly need somebody else, right? Like this is the whole concept of self-source. If I need Juliet to be in the room with me for me to feel good, I'm still dependent on this external relationship. So community is important. I'm not saying forego it, but sometimes that first step is find times to take care of you and whatever that looks like for you. I never really got into the kind of self-care vibe. There's a lot of people that throw rocks at it. I don't care what it is. Like I said, even if it is, I'm going to sit here and watch this television show all by myself with nobody asking me for anything, right? Or with my phone across the room. So I'm not trying to read my email at the same damn time that I watch my show. It's like finding a way to be alone with yourself is always the first thing I recommend for people. Like go for a walk with your headphones.
Oh, gosh. I don't know if I could do that. Wow.
I love it. I love to go, but for years I didn't. I had to always have something in my ears. But now I walk most days. My goal is usually like a 30-minute walk, and I do the first 20 minutes without headphones. And the last 10 minutes, I'll throw my headphones in and listen to whatever book or podcast I'm listening to. But really, again, forcing myself to be present.
Wow. I'm going to have to try that because I do 7 miles a day, and sometimes I do. And I listen to books and podcasts, and there's rarely silence in my world. So that's something good to really look at. So this sounds like something that you're doing amazing work with. Looking ahead, what are your future goals for SoulCharge?
Yeah. So right now, SoulCharge is for women leaders, but we have vision for SoulCharge for men, SoulCharge for families, SoulCharge for kids, SoulCharge for athletes. And then there's the truth teacher side of the business that is the corporate side. So taking conscious leadership and, mindfulness and emotional intelligence into corporate environments, because more and more organizations are looking to be more conscious and more mindful and leave behind a lot of those old school patterns. So all of those things. So really on the, like I said, the business to consumer side is we want to create SoulCharge for all different people and just make sure the curriculum is really tailored to them. Because again, as women, we have things in us, that are in our DNA, right? Like going back to like witches and being burned at the stake and, all of those things, like that's in our DNA, like that storyline is in there somewhere, right? And so men don't have that. So when it comes time to create a men's line, we really want to make sure that we serve men and their stories and where they're, because they've got their provider thing and all their worth is wrapped up in, how I can provide for a family. So they have their own set of stories, right? So anyway, our goal on the B2C side is to just grow so that there are SoulCharge for a lot of different genres of people. And then on the corporate side is really expand the reach of conscious leadership and emotional intelligence and really building conscious organizations.
It's funny. It's funny you brought up witches. Did
Yeah.
you ever read Bill O'Reilly's Killing the Witches?
No, do I need to?
Oh my God. Oh, it's an amazing book because at the end, he relates it back to where we are today with the shallowness, the social media, because what really happened in Salem was a mass delusion. And I sort of love the way he brought it back to that, because we're kind of doing that with censorship today, like burning people at the stake. But it was interesting that he related it back today, and some of those patterns, like we aren't connecting with ourselves, so we don't have awareness other than what Ryann tells me is going on, and social media and TV, and we don't have that time to sit with ourselves and really critically think about what's going on. So yeah, I love that you did that analogy, and the book is very good. I was fascinated.
I just wrote it down.
So Bill O'Reilly, call me. I'll have you on my show. Read your book. Now you owe me. No, it really is a good book. So where can people find you if women, especially right now, where can they find you if they want to know more? Do you have anything that you can send them to?
Yeah, absolutely. So soulcharge.com is the website. The first thing you will see when you go to our main website is our 7-day experiment is linked right there at the top of the page. And that's really a way to kind of experience the work. We play around with the idea of creating one really specific result in just 7 days and making progress really quickly, because it's also a very common misconception in the personal development space is that it takes forever. And it doesn't have to, right? Again, when we're dealing with roots and not symptoms, we can transform really, really fast. And so we like to demonstrate that in real time. So that's a really great way to experience SoulCharge. On social media, I'm at Ryann Dowdy Official on Instagram and TikTok. And then on LinkedIn, I'm Ryann with 2 N's Dowdy on both platforms.
Now, you and your partner have a podcast too, don't you?
We do. The SoulCharge podcast just got relaunched. So Stacey had launched the podcast solo a couple years ago called The Truth Teacher, it was Becoming, and it was under the Truth Teachers brand, which was more her one-on-one coaching in the corporate brand. And then when she launched SoulCharge, and so we're kind of having fun with it. Like Stacey's doing some solo stuff. I'm doing some solo stuff. We're doing some stuff together. We're bringing in guests. And so we literally just relaunched last week. But yeah, the SoulCharge podcast is a great way to kind of experience Stacey and I. And like I said, we really are trying to do it differently, meaning just really tell stories of our employees and our clients and our team of, how cool the work is. Because like I said, people come to us because there is something in their life that doesn't feel good. And it winds up just creating this beautiful ripple effect in areas you wouldn't imagine. Like one of our coordinators, before she started working at SoulCharge, she was having migraines up to 4 to 6 times a month, where she was missing work because her migraines were so bad. And since she started working at SoulCharge, I think she's been there for 5 months and she's only had 3.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. And a good reminder that what's going on inside of you is also affecting you, impacting your physical health as well. So fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being on, and looking forward. You guys, she's a magazine contributor for 2025. So you'll get lots of me time and, tips about how to have more me time too. So thank you.
Thanks, Juliet.